But it's far from the only problem that we're facing right now. Here's the list. Are you ready? Sit down. If you're standing, go ahead and sit down. A new study says that nearly 44% of all Americans are one emergency away from financial ruin. The same study finds that 1/3 of Americans don't have any savings at all. None. Nothing. A third of you have nothing saved. Today, the president disbanded his Jobs Council after getting just about nothing done. They met 4 times in 2 years, and of course, there are still about 24 million people out of work or underemployed. I have no idea what that group did. I would love to know. And for the kicker, January jobs numbers come out tomorrow, but the predictions are already in. Economists forecasting an unemployment rate of 7.8%, completely unchanged from last month. No progress. Clearly, we have got a lot of problems to fix, and quick. Our Money Power panel is here to sort through a slew of bad news. We've got Scott Martin live and in person. Chief Market Strategist at United Advisors. You'll see in a second. He's sitting right next to me. So is Noel Nickpour. Sorry about that, Noel. I was just so excited about Scott being here. You got to forgive me.
My fault.
Know.
That was on me.
Noel Nickpour. She's a Republican strategist, and Dan Mitchell from the Cato Institute. I'll start with you guys. Can you fix any of those problems? What do you think?
No, you can't. Here's the scary thing about that study. Now, listen, you give me one study that tells you one thing. There's probably going to be another one that'll tell you something else. Listen, that's what studies are for. Here's the scary other part of that study that's not mentioned. Think about the people in that study that don't have insurance, whether it's disability, long-term cares, which are going absolutely nuts with regards to costs. That's a scary thing, too, because if those people get sick, get hurt,
Scott,
they're really hurt.
You were supposed to solve a problem, not pile another one on top of the Sunday.
Oh, darn. I didn't read the notes. I'm sorry.
You first.
One of the problems that I see are the kabuki numbers for the jobs, and you've got to realize that a lot of these things, I don't really believe the numbers. I don't think that a lot of people, they've fallen off the job market. They're not looking anymore, and a lot of people have taken either a job that is below their level or a part-time job, and they've actually counted that as a job. So I don't think these numbers are true to form at all and represent what's really going on in America.
Wow. Okay, Dan, do you want to weigh in? Because they just sort of added 2 problems on top of the pile, and we were going to try and sort through and solve something, but I guess that's pretty hopeless. What do you think?
Well, first, on the jobs issue, the fact that the president had a phony jobs council, that doesn't bother me at all. All White Houses put together councils and put people on them as political favors. I find it really irritating because some of the ideas that they came in and they came up with were not terrible, but they were like nothing that you could really act on. I got to find my list of what that was. But it's another thing that sort of looks, it's insincere to me. It's like we're here trying to solve this problem, but they're not. But that's precisely the point. It's not the fact that the president had a jobs council that he ignored. The problem is that he's pursued policies, higher tax rates, heavier burden of government spending, more regulation, Obamacare. He's pursued all these policies that have given us, according to the Minneapolis Fed's interactive website, the worst job performance of any recovery since the end of World War II. Now, on the savings issue, I think that's actually related. If you are in a very tough job market and you're lucky to be hanging on to a job and there are no opportunities for advancement, you are probably not getting a good salary. If you're not getting a good salary, all your income is going to cover your basic expenses. So how are you going to save? I think these problems are related. It's the weak Obama economy.
So, Scott, I mean, the only solution, as always, is to grow the economy. I mean, we have too many problems to kind of try and solve them individually. The only thing we can possibly do is make things better. How could we do that right now?
You got to change the climate, and it starts with businesses, and you've got to make sure that they're comfortable in today's climate with taxation, with health care, which they're not, Melissa. I mean, you saw that with all the money that went to Romney's camp in November of last year. But I'll tell you, I mean, look, you've got, like Noel mentioned, you've got a job market that is full of slack. I mean, 7.8% unemployment, that's doggy poo. That's not right. That's a technical term, by the way. It's actual doggy poo because it's way higher than that. Wage growth is non-existent. GDP now is negative. I mean, if this isn't an economy that's in need of, say, some deer antler spray, I don't know what is. I mean, I'm telling you, we're in big trouble.
Deer antler spray, of course, is the spray everyone's getting in shape. Vijay Singh using it to improve his swing right now. I think we could use some deer antler spray.
I bet it would do wonders. So that's the answer to your question. That's the short answer. Let's get some on the economy.
At least he's got an idea. I mean, it may not be a great idea. It's something. What do you think?
You know what? If we're going to throw money, we might as well throw money to give people, skills and teach them something to further their employment or help them and assist that way versus giving them Band-Aids and just, more and more handouts.
Yeah, so how do we do that? I mean, we've got a reporter talking about that today, going down to West Virginia and talking about how you get people into the fracking industry, because that's where all the jobs are.
Right.
And if you go to college right now and you study engineering and you study for these jobs that are available, you would come out and actually have a job. How do we direct them in that direction?
Well, maybe more assistance to where you can get them directed in that and give them the training and have subsidies on that way.
Is that going to cost me money, or is that about...
Melissa, I mean, you could have subsidies that that create and push you more into that direction and pay, and those people, if they're going to get the jobs like that, are paying back into the tax system. So it revamps itself by when subsidy is being given, that it comes back into us by way of taxes when they start their job and they're contributing back into the income sector.
Dan, given, and this is a tough one, given where we are right now and the politicians we're stuck with in Washington, and I mean, you heard the congressman before you tempt me to call them all a bunch of monkeys, and I sort of almost pounced on that. Given the hand we are dealt, how can we grow the economy right now?
The only bit of good news that I can give you is that we're going to have gridlock for at least the next 2 and probably the next 4 years. That sounds bad, but our founding fathers wanted gridlock with what was called factionalism in the Federalist Papers, because they figured if politicians were busy fighting each other, it meant that they wouldn't be passing new burdens on the economy. And if you think, like I do, that 9 out of 10 times legislation means bigger government, then it's good that we're not going to get anything. Now, in the long run, we have this giant problem with entitlements. We have problems we need to fix, and if we don't, we're going to wind up like Greece. So I'm not in favor of gridlock forever, but I'm in favor of gridlock compared to Obama's first 2 years when we got the fake stimulus and Obamacare.
All right. Yeah, I think that about sums it up. I think we're going to leave it on that note. You guys were fantastic. Thank you. Let's get some deer antler spray and we'll be all set.